Welcome to another video review. Today I'm looking at the Cooler Master Silent Pro Gold 1200 watt power supply. What's included with this power supply is the user's manual, modular leads, power cord, 4 black screws, and a carry pouch. The Silent Pro Gold series of power supplies are currently available in a number of different wattages ranging from 600 to 1200 watts. I'll be reviewing the 1200 watt model. Now, how is this wattage determined? Well, to understand this, you need to know what rails are. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially two different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and the 12 volt rail. Now, in this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 150 watts, and the 12 volt rail is 1176 watts, which is essentially how the wattage of this power supply is determined. The 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU, video cards, etc. Also, some might be interested to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt rail is 22 amps, the plus 5 volt rail is 25 amps, and the single plus 12 volt rail is 98 amps. There are a number of important things to remember when selecting a power supply. The first is wattage. Determine how much wattage you are going to require by the amount of hardware you will be installing. Generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to 700 watt power supply. For a hardcore system, select a power supply that's around 800 watts. If, however, you are building an extreme gaming rig with a top-of-the-line multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply that's 1000 watts or greater. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficient at typical load. The efficiency of this power supply is 90% at typical load. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, overvoltage, undervoltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. APFC, or active power factor correction, assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, corrects input voltage, and it allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Fifth, there are 3 main certifications: 80+, NVIDIA SLI, and ATI CrossFire. Many of today's high-end power supplies meet one or more of these certifications. This power supply is certified to meet the 80+ gold requirements and is also NVIDIA SLI and ATI CrossFire certified. Sixth, look for a power supply that uses Japanese capacitors. This ensures a much more reliable product than a power supply with low-grade capacitors. This power supply uses Japanese capacitors. Finally, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Also consider a power supply that has a modular design because it reduces the cable mess inside the case. Also, it's important to get a power supply with an excellent warranty. This power supply comes with a 5-year warranty. Now let's have a closer look at this power supply. It has a black paint finish and the housing is steel. They include a gold grill and a 135mm fan with intelligent speed control for optimum cooling and minimum noise. This fan and the honeycomb ventilation ensures maximum cooling, so the power supply should remain cool in almost any environment. Here's the power switch and the power cord connection. Now, this power supply is longer than your standard ATX power supply, and it might not fit in all cases. But consider the fact that this is a 1200 watt 80+ gold certified power supply, and with that in mind, it really isn't that long. This power supply has a number of technologies, one of them being hybrid transformer. This is a revolutionary heat transfer design that combines a heat sink with the transformer. With the transformer size reduced by 25%, efficiency is stretched to the max. HTT, or heat transfer technology, is a patented technology that uses a unique L-shaped heatsink and superb ventilation to remove heat waves from the power supply. And also Hyperpath, the IC direct connections with the transformers that reduce switching and energy loss, ultimately leading to huge energy ratings. This power supply has lots of leads. There are some that are hardwired into the power supply and cannot be removed, but the remaining are flat, flexible modular leads. And here is where those modular leads would get connected. Modular leads are fantastic because you only need to use the ones required for your particular setup, which reduces the cable mess inside the case and improves airflow. Finally, have a listen to the 135mm fan. If you're in the market for a very good power supply, and this is something you should be looking for if you're building a system, do not go cheap on the power supply. Whatever you do, that is one of the most important parts of your system. Now, this particular power supply, the 1200 watt model, is not required for most people because, of course, you don't need to have this kind of high wattage power supply. Unless, of course, you have an extreme gaming rig and a multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware. You can go with their lower wattage power supplies, which would be fine for most people. Now, this power supply comes with a very quiet 135mm fan, and considering the wattage of this power supply, it isn't really that long. It has modular leads and lots of other technologies. Overall, this is a 100% kick-ass product. Until next time, take care.